Welcome to Freethought Matters. I'm Laurie Gaylor.
And I'm Dan Barker. Laurie and I are co-presidents of the Freedom From Religion Foundation, which produces this show. FFRF is the nation's largest organization of freethinkers, that's atheists and agnostics, with 32,000 members. And we work diligently as a state church watchdog to keep religion out of government. You can join us, or you can ask for a sample of our newspaper, Freethought Today, at ffrf.org.
Roy Zimmerman is a singer-songwriter known for his satiric and irreverent commentary on all things sacred, from religion to politics, you name it. Nothing escapes his sharp and witty observation. The Washington Post magazine calls his work splendidly acerbic, and Terry Jones of Monty Python said of Roy's music, brilliant, just brilliant.
Roy Zimmerman's albums include Comic Sutra, Security, Homeland, Peacenik, Best of the Foremen, Faulty Intelligence, Thanks for the Support, Real American, You're Getting Sleepy, The Faucet's on Fire, and his newest, his 10th album, is Rise Up.
Roy Zimmerman performed at the Freedom From Religion Foundation's 2017 annual convention to great applause. And thank you so much for joining us today, Roy.
My great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you're such a young guy. How long have you been doing this music and songwriting gig?
Thank you for saying so. That's a lovely here. I've been doing this for 35 plus years. So and I don't know how that's possible, when I'm only 34 years old. No, I'm 62, proud to be 62, and know what I know and do what I do in this world.
So it seems to me you've been writing about social issues and criticism of religion, criticism of politics, and I mean, there's nothing that escapes your notice, apparently. Are you ever going to run out of things to write about in this day and age?
Would that would be so. Would that yes. I could have a career writing songs about horses and rainbows. But no, it seems that malfeasance and hypocrisy and war, ignorance, and greed will be with us, for at least as long as I'm on the planet. And there'll be fights to be fought.
Well, in a little bit, we're going to sample your music, but how many songs have you written, or I believe co-written with your wife?
That's right. We write so many of these songs together, Melanie Harvey and I, and until recently traveled the country together and did, and met all these people across the country. And we've written probably 1,000 songs.
Wow.
Yeah, I started counting them up one time, but then I decided I had other songs to write. And I've written a bunch aside from that, and so is she, and she's written kids' books and all that too. So
isn't she like a famous guitarist or something? Isn't she an award-winning something like that?
She won the Bluegrass Flat Picking Championship a couple of years in a row. A ways back. She's an amazing player, and she plays on a lot of the records that you just enumerated there.
Wow.
Now, in a couple minutes, we're going to play your song, I think, is it called Religious Liberty?
Religious Freedom?
Religious Freedom, which is such a...
To burn our own witches.
Yes. It's such a history lesson, only made funny, amazing insight. But what were your religious views when you grew up? Were you brought up Freethought, or were you raised religious?
I was in a cult. It was called Lutheranism, and so yes, I was brought up a Lutheran, and and in fact I was choir director for a while and so forth too. Dan and I kind of have this in common in the sense that coming from a religious music background, I've drifted into other waters.
Well, I look at it like we were inoculated when we were younger, so now we won't catch we won't catch the disease. We had a little bit of it.
That's right. If only there was herd immunity.
Hey, that might work.
Yeah, that would be nice. Now, speaking of the pandemic, How are you doing as a musician?
Well, it changed everything, didn't it? I mean, we have so many folky friends who were touring musicians, for a long, long time. And Melanie and I were touring very hard. I mean, we calculated it up, from the day that Donald Trump took the Electoral College, let's just say, till COVID changed the world and we had to get off the road. I did 530 shows.
Wow.
In that space of 3+ years. So, we were very busy touring, as a lot of our friends were, and so it has fallen to us to find a different way to get these songs out there and to make a living doing it.
And so, is there a way for people to? Are you using Zoom, or how can people access your music?
Sure. Well, Zoom shows have been good, but the way the public people can access it, because those are all basically private kind of shows, But Facebook is a great place. I've been doing live shows on Facebook. I show up there once a week and do that. There'll be more of those. Certainly YouTube. We're right now in the throes, up to our neck, in fact, in editing a brand new video. That's another way we get these songs out there, is get these videos up on social media. And we've recently had one that kind of like that went viral, with no pun intended. I mean, it's got upwards of 70 million views at this point.
Wow. What is that one?
That one's called Vote Him Away, and then in parentheses, The Liar Tweets Tonight. It's a song parody of Whim Away, The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at another video that you've done, the Religious Freedom to Burn Our Own Witches.
And this is where you and your wife traveled the whole country. It must have taken a long time to put that together, but it's an amazing...
Well, we're so proud of this video because we wrote it as we went along. Had the idea while we were on the road, and realized that the upcoming dates in the tour were going to take us past all of these hot spots for religious freedom, the history of religious freedom in America. And so as we would arrive into the parking lot of Plymouth Rock, let's say, or Stone Mountain, or whatever, whatever the place was, we would be jotting down the verse that I was going to be recording there. And so the song was written piecemeal as we went along the journey. And we have, actual footage, no green screen, folks. It's just all actual footage from all over the country.
Well, let's watch it.
Let's watch Religious Freedom to Burn Our Own Witches.
Back when the pilgrims landed on these rocks, they thanked the Lord and they rang out their socks. They were escaping those religious tyrannies, so they said, geez, let us worship as we please. They knew the strictures of their scriptures would never fail them, and so they started lighting fires on the pyres in Salem. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Y'all know the story of the first Thanksgiving, historical origins of Martha Stewart living. They feasted with the Wampanoag on that shore, and then wiped out the Pequot in the Pequot War. They knew God sent them to this Eden among the heathen, to say, convert to our dear Lord, or you won't be breathing. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Then all the colonies said, what the hell? We don't need a king, let's ring the Liberty Bell. All men are equal, no one's lesser or greater, and we're endowed with certain rights by our Creator. And that was sweet, but what made liberty even sweeter was they could still own slaves according to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, 2 Kings and 1 Peter. So we the people formed a nation, and the Bill of Rights ensures I'm free free to practice my religion, and you're free to practice mine. Ain't that divine? Slavery opened up a national wound. Much blood was spilled before the Union reunion. They saved the nation in that Civil War. Our fathers brought force 4 and 7 years before. But some were certain they could hear the Almighty saying, don't mix the races, segregate, and start KKKing. Freedom to oppress. In the name of righteousness. In the name of righteousness. Freedom to persecute in a biblical pursuit. Religious freedom to burn. But separate is not equal, the Supreme Court found. And they struck all the segregation laws down. They found that marriage is a basic civil right. The law can't break into your bedroom late at night. Still, some say we will not heed unelected judges. We know we're righteous and our bigotry never budges. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn, 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 burn our own witches.
Hear, hear. That says a lot. So when we are talking with Roy Zimmerman, and when we come back, Roy, I understand you're going to play a song for us live.
I'd love to.
Thank you. So stay tuned. We're going to hear a song about the treatment of women in the Bible from Freethought Troubadour and satirist Roy Zimmerman.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan, an unabashed atheist, and I'm alarmed by the intrusions of religion into our secular government. That's why I'm asking you to support the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest and most effective association of atheists and agnostics, working to keep state and church separate, just like our founding fathers intended. Please support the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell.
My name's Jarvis, and I'm an out-of-the-closet atheist. There are many reasons why I'm an atheist, but I'll start with the crudest explanation. I'm sure many of you have seen Clash of the Titans or The Immortals or 300, these blockbuster films about ancient Greek or Roman religion, which we now call mythology. But back then it wasn't mythology. It was very real for them. They genuinely believed that you had to put a coin in a person's mouth before they were buried so that they could pay for the literal ferry to the afterlife. Just as many people today believe that they should eat crackers and wine on a Sunday, or that God wants women to hide their bodies under black burqas. Every religion that has ever existed, and there are many, have all believed that they were right, that their rituals and rules and beliefs were 100% correct, and they all thought they nailed it. But where are they today? If they're not completely forgotten, they're on the silver screen, amusing us with their sword fights, animal sacrifices, and oracles. The religions of today are the entertainment of tomorrow. Everyone, I hope, is an atheist about Zeus and Apollo, Juno and Poseidon. I just added Jesus and Muhammad to that list.
Thank you for watching Freethought Matters. You can find more content by the Freedom from Religion Foundation at our website, ffrf.org. Follow FFRF on Facebook, and you'll get notifications about all of our content, including whenever we go live on FFRF's Ask an Atheist. FFRF is also on YouTube, where all of our programs, including this show and our weekly news bites, are available to watch anytime. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the web.
And welcome back to Freethought Matters. We're continuing our conversation with the satirical, irreverent, talented songwriter, Roy Zimmerman, who has agreed to perform a song for us live today. He's going to perform the song, I Want a Marriage Like They Had in the Bible.
I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, because the Bible tells me so. Now Abraham and Sarah had a marriage, but she could not bear him a kid. So Sarah gave Abraham a slave girl, and pretty soon they did it, and she did, Lord, Lord. Pretty soon they did it, and they did it, and they did it, and they did it, and she did. Now I know slavery was banned, but a woman should be free to give a slave girl to her husband. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, because the Bible tells me so. Now Jezebel and Ahab had a marriage, and she began usurping all his power. She was wicked, of course, but he could not divorce her, so he had her thrown right off the tower, Lord, Lord, and sent the dogs her carcass to devour. Now I know it seems excessive, but a woman should submit to her husband or be made a mess of. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, because the Bible tells me so. Now if a man should take a woman to be his, and if it turns out he thinks she's not a virgin, well then her parents have a chance to prove she is, and if they let her down, then every man in town should stone her till she's dead. It's right there in the Bible, Deuteronomy. Now Solomon and Naaman had a marriage, and they were together all their lives. Yes, she was his, and he was pretty busy, 'cause she was one of 700 wives, Lord, Lord. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Now I know that's illegal, but a woman should be one of as many wives as her man can inveigle. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible, like they had in the Bible. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, because the Bible tells me so. I wanna like they had, like they. I want a marriage like they had in the Bible, because the Bible tells me so. Why? Because the Bible tells me so. Why? Because the Bible tells me so. Bible tells me so.
That was funny as always. If the modern day believers would actually literally follow the Bible, we'd be in bad shape, wouldn't we, in this country?
So, Roy, I was so impressed with this song's erudition about what the Bible actually says about women. I wrote a book about women in the Bible called "Woe to the Women, the Bible Tells Me So," and you know it's all there, and yet so often believers don't know what's in the book they profess to believe in, the sexism,
right.
the slavery. How did you get so well acquainted with it?
Well, this is another Melanie and Roy collaboration, you know, and you know, the answer is just research. I knew it was in there, but you know, we started looking up, you know, what the Bible had to say, particularly about marriage, women in general, but about marriage in particular, because marriage became an issue as we traveled the country. People are talking about it always. It becomes a wedge issue in the best of times, you know, and so. It's as Dan was saying, you know, if people would hearken to what the Bible actually has to say about marriage, they'd be horrified.
Well, you and I actually read the Bible, so I mean that's A lot of believers don't. They know what, 3 or 4 verses, and the rest they just leave to the experts to fight about. But,
Right. Right.
Well, studies have shown, excuse me, that atheists tend to have read the Bible more than believers.
Yeah.
And I
Sure,
guess that's why we're so concerned about the Bible being used in any of our laws today.
That's like criminals know the law so much better than the police.
Yeah, because we want to be free from all of that. Richard Dawkins gave you a good compliment. He compared you. He said you were like a modern day Tom Lehrer. And Tom Lehrer is still alive as of our recording, but people haven't really remembered him much. He was such a big deal in the 70s and 80s, and he wrote the Vatican Rag. So that was a pretty good compliment, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful to hear that. It was wonderful to meet Richard. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he talk about an erudite person, and someone with a great dry sense of humor too. So it was quite the compliment to hear him say that.
So, as somebody who supports yourself by your songs, has your atheism caused problems when you perform?
I wouldn't say so. No, I'm performing for people who I'm upfront about what I'm talking about, and I hopefully present it in a way that's entertaining, amusing, and not only that, but not strident. And I think that's my theory anyway. It's important, I think, to present these ideas, whether they be religious or political or just social satire, in a way that's inviting, in a way that brings people into your argument. And the implicit argument is not, here's what I think and you should think that too. The implicit argument is, here's what I find absurd, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. And of course, humor is such an excellent way to break through barriers. And almost all your songs are funny, aren't they?
Well, it's been tending about half and half these days.
Yeah.
Yes, because people that we meet going across the country are in distress. It is tough times for progressive-minded people, for free-thinking people, for people who have a broader sense of things. Because there is such a clampdown on free thought, and people are in distress, and they need encouragement too. They need manna.
I heard you give a great response to someone who asked you, "Aren't you just preaching to the choir, Roy?"
Yeah. You get that criticism, and I say I don't think of it that way. I think of it as entertaining the troops.
There you go. Because we all need to be, if I can borrow a word, we all need to be inspired to continue the work that we're doing.
So what did inspire, I think it's your newest album called Rise Up. Could you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, it's the very thing I was talking about. People feel downtrodden. People feel like things are hopeless sometimes. And the daily news is one outrage replaces the last, and until there's just like a greasy machine gun of outrage, firing at you every day, So our intention is to make people laugh. That engages your intellect, of course, and it empowers you, but also to give people a reason to turn that outrage, to turn that pain, often, and frustration and sadness into action.
So speaking of machine guns, didn't you say that the reason you wrote Rise Up was because of the students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School?
After the shooting?
Yes, that particular song was inspired by the activism of those kids who rose out of that tragedy. Who are engaged at the time of this recording in voter registration. That's where it's at. But they're incredibly articulate and effective activists.
I always like to ask songwriters who are not religious, how do you deal with the word inspiration? Do the ideas come to you from somewhere, or what would you even call it, inspiration?
Well, as a songwriter, you always have to be mindful of inspiration. Is truly an unexplainable thing, And you have to be careful, for instance, whether the inspiration came from the cosmos, you know, or from the radio.
Turn your radio on. So we just have about a minute left here. Remind us how people can contact you and find your music and your performance schedule and all of that.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, you know, I got a website, of course, royzimmerman.com. That's a good place to go to read the bio and take a look at the discography and all the songs that are on there. The lyrics are all on the website too, and to sign up for the mailing list, which is the best way to keep up with new songs, new videos, and even opportunities to help us make these videos. A lot of the videos we're doing now are called what we call virtual sing-ins, where we have video clips submitted from people all over the country to be edited into the video of our song.
Oh, that's very cool.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Roy. You've been a real inspiration.
A secular
Absolutely.
Inspiration.
Thanks for the work that you do. I had such a wonderful time at the conference a couple years ago that, you know, I must say that was a real highlight of that touring year for sure.
Well, we'll have to do it again when the pandemic is over. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for watching Freethought Matters.
Because free thought matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Pinker. In my book, Enlightenment Now, I show that the world has become a better place as reason has been overcoming superstition and tribalism. But the values of the Enlightenment are under attack. That's why I'm a proud member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest association of free thinkers working to keep state and church separate. Please join me in supporting the Freedom from Religion Foundation to ensure that our government is driven not by religion, but by reason.